Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the RuneQuest rules by Chaosium Incorporated. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. Strong language, mature scenes, and rune magics are on the way. As this is our Glorantha, we will remind listeners that it may vary from the one you already know and love. And now, on to the show. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Old Ways Podcast. I'm your storyteller this evening, Michael Diamond. We're back with 6 seasons in Sartar. And as we always like to do at the top of the show, we'd like to thank you, the listener, and especially you, the Patreon supporter. If you've not had a chance to check out what we offer, you can, and that's at patreon.com/theoldwayspodcast. Go over and check us out over on YouTube, join our subscribers there, and follow us now on Twitch. So twitch.tv/theoldwaystwitch, and you can catch up and check out what we have to offer there. We will begin with character introductions and player introductions, for that matter, to my right.
Hi, everybody. This is Heather, pronoun she, her. I am playing Lysana of Cliffshield, the apprentice healer and midwife of the Heraborn and follower of the Blessed Earth Mother, Ernalda. And we are jumping right back into a very interesting situation, I believe.
I believe you're right. And to Lysana's right.
Hi, this is Morgan, and I play Alara of Hillbase Stead, and our pronouns are she, her. And Alara is a devout cultist of Marangor, the earth goddess of earthquakes and volcanoes, and she enjoys the connection to the raw power and primal fury of the earth. Rar.
I love that. We're going to leave the rar in, trust me. At the end of the table.
This is Jake, and I'm playing Vargast, Initiate of Orlanth, and Shad, the Rainbow Worm. I see good things ahead of us. Smooth sailing from here on out.
Only good things. I like that. That's an important perspective to keep. Last, but also most certainly not least.
Hi, this is James, and I'll be playing Finn the Fisherman, who is prone to find chaos in every single one of its various forms.
Well, there'll be no shortage of that this episode, guaranteed. So we're going to begin and lift the curtain on tonight's episode, part the veil, as it were, to look in on our Heraborn during Freeze Day, in Death Week, during storm season. So for the past several weeks, since bringing back such a blessing from the Whiter, you have experienced a inundation of snow, bitter cold, seemingly endless nights. These give way to sleet, lashing rains, hailstorms, even cyclones seen atop the mountains. Lightning strikes have become more common as the season of storms weighs in. It does mirror the Gods' War in some respects, and Savan and many of the other Orlanthi priests do make certain to make those stories told even more intricately on these nights. Here, the year dies, and the seeds of destruction are sown. All of you have been invited to a nearby stead, which has the benefit of having one of the most bountiful cotters under its purview, and they have invited all of you for dinner, picking out several of the families. So Finn, you and your family, Alara, you and yours, Lysana, you and your mother, and then without question, Vargast, you and your father, Gordangar, have been invited to a nearby stead to share in that bounty. While there is not normally such a bountiful feast available to you, you take it as a blessing that at least one of the steads seems to be doing a little bit better than average. As this meal gets started, it begins with it's almost spiced soup. It wakes you up, puts a fire into your stomach, all that along with the ale to keep you warm. You can see outside the driving rain is nearly at a 45-degree angle. It's cold, although the hearth fires here are superior to many that you have sat near recently. Whatever it is about this stead, they have been either perhaps keeping many things in reserve, or perhaps it is, as they said, just a bountiful feast. Just as you're lifting the spoon to your mouth, Alara, you hear someone pound on the door outside. And one of the men of this longhouse goes over to it. And you see right away, Vargas, that one of your father's weapon thanes is here. And there's a few brief words between the two of them, and then this weapon thane looks at your father and then sort of looks at the group as a whole. Your father speaks up immediately. Yes, Carl, what is it? And he comes over, and instead of speaking to the group at large, he does something rather strange. He leans over and he covers his mouth with his hand, and he says something to your father in his ear. And you can see the reaction, like the tensing of muscles. Your father sits up a little straighter, and he says to the four of you, "We must go to the hall immediately." And he stands up during this amazing food and drink feast and turns to go outside, grabs his cloak, puts it on, heads into the gale.
Well, I follow.
I do too.
Finn grabs his cloak, of course, but stubbornly refuses to leave the tankard of mead that he has with him, because that's mine now.
Okay.
Yep. I'll quickly slurp down the rest of my soup and hurry out the door behind them.
Okay. You head to the hall in a gale. Your father is already steps ahead of you. You can see that while he is not running, you can see that his stride is really stretching. He wants to get back to the hall quickly.
Well, I should have no problem catching up to him.
No, probably not.
What is it, Father?
Not out here. He keeps pressing the pace.
It's that bad.
Life is a matter of perspective. Very unusually cryptic for your father. You get back to the hall, and you see that there are many of the inner ring here assembled. It takes a couple of minutes, but the rest of you catch up. Each of you are offered hot Kallyr clear wine as you enter. That sort of warm mulled wine, and well, it's really perfect for a day like this. It's mixed with honey. You are going to have to double fist it a little bit here, Finn.
Oh, sacrifices must be made.
You see that they've assembled a table at one end of the hall. Savan is here. Many of the ring are here, including Morgana, including, I would say, most of the inner ring. Just to the side of that table, there is a group of people who stand out of torchlight wearing hoods and cloaks.
Finn leans over to Vargas. There's an awful lot of secrets floating around in here today.
Quiet and pay attention.
One of the group of the hooded members steps forward. Just a few steps. And they seem to assess the group. And you can see that there's slight sort of feminine features that can't be completely contained under the hood. And she looks at you, Vargas, and says, "Show me the mark."
I hold up my hand, palm out.
She reaches up and in a swift single motion pulls back her hood. And the room brightens. There is a legend standing before you. You see long, wavy red hair shot through with something that looks like silver highlights. You see a stern face, but one which is brilliantly adorned with a jewel, icy light that sits at the center of her forehead. It burns with this internal white fire. You know this woman by reputation. This is Kallyr Starbrow. She needs no introduction, nor does she make one. She turns to some of the assembled cloaked figures by her, and she says, "This is Erdlanesta of the Elkinville clan, my healer." She goes to the next one. "This is Orlanthot, dragon friend, my scout. This is my watchman, Instrid Fireeyes of the Blackrock clan. And this is my caster, Manirith Purple of Johnstone." She gestures to the table. "Please sit, we have much to discuss."
I sit, yeah.
She does not sit on the ring side, because obviously it's a long table. She sits at one end. The rest of her group stand. They don't sit. You can tell immediately that there is something beyond the stone in her hand. There is something different about her. Under her cloak, you see there is something you've only really heard of. She has a dark gray material that she wears as a breastplate. And you think that might be iron. Normally only given as gifts from dwarves. But it's something you'd immediately recognize. "Please, give us your names, where you hail from."
I am Vargas of the Twice Blessed.
"You are the chieftain's son?"
I am.
She nods.
After I pick my jaw up off the floor, I take a step forward near Vargast. "I am Lysana of Cliffshield. I am daughter of the healer Nyana Call and granddaughter of Lysara, the chariot rider in service of the Feathered Horse Queen."
She gives you a fairly simple nod.
I'm Alara of Hillbay Stead.
Garifin of Hillbay Stead. Well met.
"I bring ill news, but one which will come with a purpose. The Lunars have sent the Crimson Bat to Whitewall. In its passage across the mountains of our land, hundreds of our brethren died to feed its hunger." You see that she looks over at your father, Vargast. "There is no rest given to those who are consumed by the bat. There is no release. They do not return to the earth. They do not go to the halls of Orlanth. They remain eternally damned in the belly of that beast." You see the light pick up in the room. And that stone in her head, directly in her forehead, seems to get really intense. This filth, this abomination is not the first or the last of the injustices Shepelkirk's slaves have done unto us. Their false missionaries and falser gods spread the stain of Baji among our people. They have extinguished the great flame that was the heart of Sartar and put a puppet on the throne. Their granaries and coffers overflow with wealth our clans produce, taken in taxes meant to punish and demean. They rape our land. They rape our clans. And they rape our women. I will not have this. You watch as Ernaldesta, her healer, gets a little closer to her and puts like a hand on her shoulder. You watch Kallyr take a breath. "I will no longer allow this. I will end it. I was there when Boldholm fell. You were there." She points directly at your father, Vargast. "You were there." She points to his chief weapon Thane and Humak, swordsman. "You were there, Harvar, son of Hovik. So you will hear my words and understand the truth. The foul day that bat came into the city, none of us would be here to remember if not for one thing. One thing. That day a dragon came. A dragon came and drove the bat before it." She reaches out and curls her fingers around the handle of a stein and drinks. "Orlanth is dying. You can feel it in the wind. You can smell it in the air. This is Shepelkirk's design. I tried to liberate our people. I tried and I failed. I failed because we do not consort with demons. I failed because we are not slave to some witch goddess. I failed because in order to liberate our people and pull bloody Shepelkirk screaming from the sky, we need a greater power. We need another dragon. After many sacrifices and many hero quests, I have managed to find us one. It slumbers, and it cannot be woken yet because it is missing 4 pieces of its soul. These were stolen by the Empire of Wormfriends and those who turned from the old ways. I will find these and return this dragon. I will wake it, and I will turn it against the Empire. It is my understanding that one of those pieces lies locked in a temple high in the hills of Cragradius, just outside of your vale. I have my people seeking its place, but it was yours that found it. Tomorrow before dawn, you will take me there.
It would be an honor.
She stands up. Sleep fast. And on that, she turns and leaves the hall. She does not skip a beat. So out of character, just to make sure that folks are sort of understanding the perspective here, this would be like if in the 60s, the Beatles showed up. Or, Jesus. Because in Sartar, by many people, she is viewed as the Argrath, meaning like the savior of the people. She could be the Argrath. She might be the person who liberate everybody, and a lot of people believe that. Your father leans over and pushes another cup of clear wine in your direction, Varghest. Perhaps I judged your Dragonute Mart too quickly.
Well, we still don't know what it's going to mean.
No, we do not. But if Kallyr says that she needs your help, that is an auspicious sign. If you would all care to rest here, there are places for all of you. You'll be safe from the wind and the rain. Perhaps in the morning you can gather the things that you need and then be off.
Yeah, we have a trip ahead of us.
You do. I'll make sure you have provisions to go. Do not keep her waiting before dawn arrives.
Of course not, Father. Are you 3 coming with?
Both my parents aided Kallyr Starbrow in escaping from Sartar in the rebellion. My father fell to the foul lunar magics that were unleashed. You could not keep me away, even if Orlanth himself was through you. Chieftain, is there any way to get word to my mother? She at least should be informed, though not until after I leave, because she would try to stop me. For she too was there, and I know in her mother love and fear she would not want me to go. But she should be informed at least to know, for no matter what happens.
As much as I would want to, Kallyr's movements must be kept as secret as possible. The Lunars hunt her daily, through magic, and through any scouting attempts. If she is discovered...
No, that makes sense. Perhaps, may I? Is there a way for me to at least leave a message should anything befall me? That could be given to her after.
If you wish to...
Is Morganath with us?
Yeah, she's here.
I will actually turn to her. Because I'm pretty sure she's not coming with.
No, Morgana, the blind old woman, no, she ain't going up there.
So when I say the second part, my eyes will go to Morganath. Could you?
Take a message to her?
Should I not return, Mother? She deserves to know why.
Of course. I have not foreseen you falling yet. You have work to do.
Well, just you prepare as much as possible. This is just one step. I have seen what happens when children do not inform their parents and never return.
Just remember, the wisdom of Ronaldo is with you. There is always another way.
Tonight I will commune with Arnalda to prepare.
Good. Gordengo turns to you, Finn, and says, perhaps if you have need of anything from your stead, you should gather it.
Wise counsel. Alara, there's no reason for both of us to freeze to the bone. Do you want me to grab anything for you while I'm gone?
Actually, if you could grab my bow and arrow, please.
Of course. I'll return in an hour or two. Well, maybe longer.
I think I might actually go to the riddle to pray to Marangor.
Whatever will bring you peace, dear. I'm going to go out and make my peace with the winds and the rain. He wraps himself in a cloak and grabs his tankard.
Okay.
Mine. And slips out into the night.
Okay, so you head off, Alara, to go to the riddle. You find your spot therein to speak with Marangor. You have your little, we'll say, hearth fire of a sort that's there. This warm rocks, which are a hidden place for you to get closer to your chosen goddess.
Yeah, and normally I would probably sacrifice a small animal to Marangor, but in the middle of winter, when we have so many in need, I'm hoping she can forgive my lack of decorum or ritual, I should say. Not decorum, that's different. My lack of ritual at this time.
I think it really depends on how...
Oh, but if she... Wait, I have it. I will... There's probably an altar with a ritual bowl in my little secluded area. And I will take a knife that I've used several times, I'm sure, in the last 4 seasons, and I will cut my hand to offer my own blood to Marangor.
Very good. I like that. So I think it might be reasonable to perhaps make a worship roll.
That sounds good. Well, my worship for Marangor apparently is very...
I might let you make a passions roll too. I suppose it depends on exactly what you're looking for. Are you looking for some type of aid? Are you looking for some type of... Yeah, what are you up to?
If I can make a devotion roll to Marangor, I'm looking for her to protect us and guide me on this journey. It's very important. I have an intense hate for the Lunars. It's as strong as my devotion to Marangor, if that tells you anything. And so I really want to help make this a successful quest to get the piece of the dragon soul, so we can just one more step on the way to beating the Lunars.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. You can roll your passion devotion for Marangor.
I get a 69 out of 60.
What I'll do is say that since you're doing this from the riddle, I'll give you, we'll just say a 10% bonus, given you're basically at the altar to your deity here in the Vale. We'll make it a pass with a 69.
Nice.
So you sacrifice blood. You spill part of yourself on the rocks here. The rocks which are warm here in this little secluded place inside the riddle. And when your blood hits the rocks, they sizzle. You watch the blood itself sort of patter on the rocks, and the sizzle and the smell of your own essence comes back to you. And you feel a thundering inside your body. That's the best way to describe it. It isn't your heartbeat. It's something else. There is a fury that's whipping up inside you. And you come to the realization that you have very likely always been someone who has been in control of themselves and many of their emotions. And the image in your mind is that of a mountain. And you see the surging pressure beneath it. And you realize at some point you are going to have to let that pressure out.
I will fall to my knees and cry out to Marangor, fill me with your heat. And I will take the blood from my palm that I still have, get some leftover blood there. And I will take it and I will wipe it across my forehead to mark myself.
Okay. Yeah, you get very into it. So you begin marking that upper portion of your forehead with the blood. And you feel yourself sort of in the clay that's here, or in the mud that's here, mixing it. And you turn the upper portion of your forehead mostly red in honor of your deity. So you spend some time, Alara, there preparing yourself. You get back to the hill and the longhouse near the village. And by then Finn has collected your equipment and his own. And Finn, when you get back, you see Alara looks like she's been painted with blood.
I'm going to assume you're okay. Here, I got this for you.
Oh, thank you.
You have a little something, right? Yeah, it's never mind.
So to prepare for the night before, Lysana, what are you going to be doing?
I will also head to the riddle. But when Alara and I arrive there, we will split and go our separate ways into our areas. So I will go to where the appropriate area that is dedicated or closest to Arnalda. That would...
Okay. I mean, you'd have been in many of those places. It would not be deep within the riddle. Most of the stuff that is deep within the riddle are the bodies of Arnaldan priestess. That's what's kept there. So most of the work that is done on a day-to-day basis, or even in a high holy day or a regular holy day, was done outside in the grove outside the riddle.
Okay. I'm going to find a spot within the riddle where the women who have been lost, who were part of any kind of like the warrior women, the women who either gave their lives towards or assisted in their life in that service of fighting to protect, for that went out for looking for justice, all of that. Those warrior women, where they are found, where their bodies are, where their remains are. And I'm specifically going to find a space within that, surrounding myself with that. I am going to, even with the storm and the cold, I am going to strip down to my most vulnerable of self. And with the storms and the rain, I'm sure the ground is probably muddy.
Yep.
So I will then start incanting and trying to connect with Arnalda, but also within the spirit, with the spirits of these women who had that drive and that that fire and that devotion to walk into, the bravery to walk and do what they did. And I'm going to sink my feet, my toes, my feet, and ground myself into the earth, into that muddy earth. And then I'm going to reach in and take the mud and starting down at my feet and just use the mud to draw the runes, the earth runes primarily, the fertility runes, the runes of truth, all of them, starting at, up my legs, up my belly, long through my breasts, and all the way up on my arms, and then finishing on my face. And I'm calling upon the spirits and Arnalda herself in requesting for them to be with me, to bring, to imbue within me that bravery, that that energy that drove them forward, that allowed them to move forward into the dangers with a clear mind and a focus and a full heart, being able to harness and wield all of any of the pain that they felt and what they saw and what they experienced, and to bring that into me, my knowing myself being as young as I am, so I can bring it all to bear as we head to follow Kallyr Starbrow. I'm going to basically become one with the earth and bring all of that spirit energy as much into me to absorb it so that I can take it forth, so I can bring them with me into this.
Okay. Yeah, you get very muddy and you get very impassioned thinking about what has been done to not just the Sartarite people, but your own people, your mother's people. And it is something that fills you with determination. There's no systematic benefit for what you're doing, but it does right your mind. It does place you within the right headspace, you believe, for what is to come. The mud is exceedingly cold, but your body doesn't seem to care.
I'm also going to ask Arnalda specifically to imbue me with the rage that the Beastergore, her daughter, so that I may avenge the women who have been wronged, who have, against those who have cut through using the worst possible methods to have desecrated that which Arnalda is, the lives of these women who have been desecrated, their innocence, their loves, their bodies.
You hear a voice from a nearby tree. It is powerful yet old. This is after several hours of you working. And you hear Morgana's voice say, "Daughter, that is not your path. You are not the rage."
The vileness of what they have done screams out for justice.
and justice will be wrought.
Healing is but one side of the coin. Life and death, what they have done is worse than that. To kill off a spirit and life energy within someone without the destruction of the body
Is foul. It is deeply foul. But I fear the battles to come will need far more of Ernalda's assistance than it might her sister.
I can heal when the battle is done. Let me strike this vengeance for my father, for the women, my mother, the pain that she had, losing him.
Where is the enemy? I do not disagree with your rage. I simply disagree with the timing. There is no enemy here now, but there may be in the future.
We head to them. That is where our paths are leading. Our feet will be walking within steps to them, not away. I just wish to have the knowledge and the strength to be able to face it.
You do not think your mother has prepared you for this?
My focus has been on life and living and preparing those to bring life into this world, while I walk towards all those who believe in nothing but destroying in what I believe. I only wish to make some strike. Is my rage not good for anything except sitting back and allowing others to fight the battles for me? Do I not get at least one strike in from my own family, from my own pain?
You certainly know how to use many weapons, I'm assuming. But what are you asking for? Fire from the heavens? To whom? This seems ill-placed and ill-timed.
All I know is that they took what they took from me, what they left us with, and that they continue to threaten. I admit I am young and inexperienced, and I don't know what else to do, but I cannot just stand back and wait to bind wounds and hold hands while their lifeblood pours onto the earth. I have to be more than that, at least once.
I think you would do well to come out of the rain before you freeze and consider that Ernalda may give you some wisdom in the moments when you need it. And that way, when you do face whatever is coming, you can make the most of that moment. But to claw at the mud and beg for some divine weapon seems out of place for what we do.
Then at least I ask the bravery so that I can face this. My grandmother would have faced it as my parents would have faced it. That I do not back down, that I do not step back, that I do not flinch when I'm faced.
I believe you have all the courage you need. Now, go and rest. You have an early morning.
For your words are wise. I will cling to them as a child clings to its mother's waist. And I hope that I can do my people and my family proud. And Lysana will the energy will just kind of drain from her down, grounding it into the earth. And she will gather her probably now very wet clothes up and try to rinse off as well as she can in the in the elements and head back.
Yeah. Definitely definitely a little bit of time spent rinsing off. So some hours pass between that and the early morning. Your father wakes you, Varghast, before the sun is up. He says with a very simple word, "It's time."
Then I must be ready.
The rest of you are woken, each in your own way, very simply. You're gathered up at one end of the longhouse and given small packs of provisions and thick furs. And when you invariably step outside to a cold, cold morning, you see the same group that Kallyr was with. And you see her shining brightly in the pre-dawn. And as soon as you sort of step out of the longhouse, she turns and begins walking towards the mountain.
I guess we follow.
Yeah, she stays fairly quiet most of the way. The slopes of Crag Radius are fairly well known now to the group. They've had a chance to be on them several times. So you do know some of the way. Interestingly enough, one of her companions comes to you, Finn, and you, Alarian, sort of between the two of you asks, "Do you know the fastest way?"
In all of Finn's travels, does he know perhaps of a different route?
Not a different one, but you know our route.
Well, then, I suppose Alara and I probably, meet heads for a moment and just discuss that this is the bestest and fastest way. And, well, what do you think, Alara? And just show them the way we went.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Gestures to the hills. By all means.
So, Erlinasta, her Khalil's healer, is likely the one closest to most of you. She makes it a point as you're traveling to make sure you have everything that you need, to make sure you have little bits of food and drink that will keep you warm. She is very much the mothering type, but not in an aggressive way or an overly overbearing way. But she is sort of somebody who's always there when you need something. She seemingly has got the thing that you need when you think of it. She asks for nothing in return. She's here to help. And it seems like, Finn, you probably get the wisdom that she is doing something which Kallyr cannot. The Starbrow is not a mothering type, nor is she anything more than sort of a stern-faced, always looking to the future sort of destiny person. And so there are parts of her that really can't exist. For you, Varghast, you get a lot of attention from Olorant, one of her other companions. So Olorant, dragon friend. He's lean, wiry, sort of taller even than Kallyr. He doesn't wear a beard. His head is completely shaven, even his eyebrows. And over the traditional clan initiation and tattoos, he seems to have added these slithering patterns. His eyes are the color of pale jade, which reminds you of the stone, the original stone from the temple. He is super friendly, and he's really good at telling stories. And he also is somebody who tells probably a few limericks, or what we would call limericks. Not all of them are fit for children's ears, that's for sure. But he does get laughs out of people, most people, except, Starbrow at the front of the group. He asks you, Varghast, about the Dragonute symbol and what he believes is a spirit nearby.
Yes, Shah, the rainbow worm. We have entered a bargain.
Ah. Interesting. An agreement.
Yes. Of sorts.
Could be great wisdom in this.
Well, hopefully.
You arrive later, sometime later, at what you believe is the entrance to the temple. Finn, you're sure of it. Sadly, the temple doors appear gone. Like the entire rock face has changed.
It was here, right?
You are certain of it, Finn.
Without a doubt. I'd bet my soul on it. This is this spot.
You see Starbrow stride forward, and she calls out to the rock face. I command you show yourself. You hear her voice sort of echo out over the rocks. Nothing happens.
Can I talk to Shah?
You could if you wanted to. Yeah, you can sort of like direct mental thoughts at him.
Yeah, I'll step a little ways away and try to talk to him.
He is oddly quiet. Like you form thoughts and you try to get his attention and he doesn't reply. Orlerant steps a little closer to Kallyr and says, this is dragon magic. Let me try. And as soon as she turns away from the door and the columns appear. Like, directly. As if just a swath of magic ripples and they appear. And as soon as she sees that, the effect, and she turns. And when she turns, the same effect happens and the entrance is washed away again. Orlerant turns to you, Varghast. What is this?
Shah is strangely quiet.
He laughs. You hear Starbrow ahead say, I failed to see the humor in this. He holds up a hand to her, which is strange because the idea of like making her wait seems a little, I don't know, maybe dangerous. Maybe something like you wouldn't do. But he smiles and he says, Kallyr, clearly it does not want you to enter. And she snaps back at him. I can see that. Those who built the temple, Orlerant says, and stole the dragon's soul were mystics of old Wormish. Those who walk the draconic path seek the void, the timeless perfection beyond creation, beyond the world, beyond existence. Really heavy sigh from Kallyr. I do not need a lesson in the ways of the worm's friends. You hear Shah in your ear. She can't come in. It's not allowed.
Her specifically?
She must wait. She must learn patience. You may enter. And your bonded one. And the other pair. I like the four of you.
I approach Starbrow.
She watches you approach. You see that her cloak is pulled back a little bit, and you see that she has a rather ornate one-handed sword. It very much may also be iron.
Shah informs me that he would allow us four to enter.
I see. This spirit you have contacted?
Yes.
Very well. I charge you with retrieving what we need.
Do you have any idea what that might be?
The breath of a dragon.
Then that is what we shall do.
She turns her back on the temple and heads back toward a couple of her party. The entrance stays solid for you while you stand next to it.
Are you three ready?
As ready as we can be.
Stories are not made by standing around.
So entering the temple is something the four of you have done before. You're very familiar with where the original altar was, where the orb was. And then you also remember just beyond that were these doors that were sheathed in bronze. And these doors are what Shah directs you towards. In the center of that door, there's a dragon swallowing its tail, which is what encircles the dragon newt rune that sort of bears the major decoration.
I'll hold up my hand.
To the door?
Yes.
You hold your hand up. The door does nothing.
It doesn't do anything.
You hear a shot in your ear. You're going to have to push on the door.
Oh. And then I push the door.
It opens. There is a steep set of stairs that go down. It is also dark.
Deep into the bowels of the earth. How appropriate for a dragon, it seems.
Finn, your pack has a couple of torches. Probably a good time to light this place up, as I don't believe any of you can see in pitch black darkness.
No.
Nope, traded that in.
So with torches lit, the group makes its way down into this first space. It's a roughly 10 by 10 meter space strewn with rubble. Some of the rubble is 2 or 3 meters high. But there is a passageway that looks like if you continue east, you can make it through this space, but it will require climb rolls.
We're rolling climb?
You certainly are, and I would remind all of our players that should they decide to be runically inspired for a new skill roll, you'll want to do that before you make the skill roll.
I don't have climb. I'm gonna see if I can draw upon a little bit of runic inspiration to try to give me a little bit of a boost here, because that's not so good. Remembering back to my rather cold and muddy moment, asking for those spirits to lend me whatever aid they can the night before.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, that is a 62 under 65.
Okay, so it's plus 20% to your climb roll.
That will definitely help. Oh yes, that is a 38 under now 60.
Very good. Laura.
I get a 13 under 50.
Very good. Pass.
I have 14 under 45.
Very good. Pass. And then Finn.
25 under 40.
Very good. Very good. So everybody passes. Nobody takes damage. Fantastic. Most of you do see a big potential for some of these large pieces of rock to just slide right off the stacks that they're on. And that could have been, uncomfortable. So beyond that portion, there is a narrow stair that goes down a little further, but you're able to safely navigate it. When you get into this second space, it's a little larger, and this looks like some sort of perhaps scriptorium or study area. The walls here are lined with wooden scroll shelves, and there are hundreds of scrolls. To your south, there does seem to be a passageway, perhaps. Just looking at the way the torchlight flickers against the walls here.
Well, I guess it's south.
The line moves south. You see just nearby, you see a skeleton, a robed skeleton, lies slumped in the corner. It does seem human, although it is a little strangely dressed.
Well, certainly that's nothing to be concerned about.
Who could that be?
Well, whoever they were, they're not hopefully going to be a problem now.
I mean, does it look like a priest?
It could be. I mean, they are dressed in robes.
Well, I guess we move on.
Continuing to move south, you come upon a rather rectangular room, a long room here, and it does look like there are some sleeping mats here. There are 2 skeletons in this room dressed in very similar fashions to the one you just saw. But to your left, Finn, you see a hallway that splits further east.
This way. Without hesitation, Finn takes the hallway. This is more adventure for Finn than it is danger.
Yeah. You walk that hall and you eventually get into a room that leads back north. And this room is a little strange. It's long, it's narrow, and there's also a acrid smell in the air. And I would like, because I think it's fitting given the circumstances, Alara, you smell sulfur and other... It smells almost like the room in the riddle tier to you. It smells a little Mother Earthy in here.
Yeah, I will take a deep breath.
You cough.
Start hacking my lungs out.
Or I guess your eyes are starting to itch.
What is that?
Finn covers his mouth with a piece of cloth. Stinks.
Some kind of, I don't know, trap?
Shaw says, cover your eyes and do not breathe in this room.
Cover your eyes. Don't breathe. We get this through as fast as we can.
So when you are in this space, I guess you're going to come upon a kind of a choice, right? So it's a bit of a fork. You could curl right to continue to go south, or you could look, in effect, left and continue to go north. Those are your choices.
Is there any smell or anything going particular way?
The smell is in the entire space.
Oh.
No smell, no lights, no runes, anything on the walls, nothing. Okay.
No, nothing on the walls.
Or floor or ceiling. Must be thorough. Well, does Shaw give any indication which way we should go?
No.
Finn is going to check the small details. This is usually what he does.
Okay. So the space that goes, the hall that goes south is very thin. If you head a little further down that way, because it's sort of a space that really you all could really only walk single file in, you realize that the smell is getting thicker. Like it's actually beginning to pierce through some of the protective wrap that you have.
I don't know if this is a good sign or a bad one.
If folks are going to continue, I just need to know whether they're going to go south or north at this point.
Well, if I feel the wall, which walls are warmer?
There's no warmth actually here in the walls.
Oh.
You just get the smell. All the smell, none of the warmth.
And either way we go, the smell gets thicker? Or just to the south?
No. Just to the south.
I feel like we should go south.
Okay.
So if you're going to go south, what I would like from all of my players here are constitution rolls.
Oh, yes. That's a 22.
Very good. Alara?
I got a 79 under 80.
Oh, wow. Just barely.
Wow.
Vargast?
4 under 70.
That is critical success. And then Finn?
22 also under 45 or under 55.
So Vargast, for your critical success value, the benefit therein is that I won't ask you to make another constitution roll in this hallway. Just you. You move a little further down and you get to the south and you get to this area that opens up, and it looks like perhaps this was at one point it was a place where they bathed at. There's this, sunken in relief where you could see water here at one point. There's a statue here that is being held by another skeleton. And you can tell that this statue is made of gold. It's adorned with rubies.
Just one of those would feed an entire stead for quite a while. Sold to the right people. I mean, I'm not saying we should, but the thought is there.
Do you have the skills to? Do you have? I'm sure Finn has skills to assess values. Yeah, evaluate or. Yeah, evaluate. That's a skill.
Quick roll. 14 under 20.
Oh, it's really good. You think this statue might be worth about 2,000 Ls. That is more money than you have ever seen.
Finn stands staring at the statue for a moment, kind of rubbing his chin.
We're here for the dragon.
Yeah, dragon. Right. Dragon.
Much opulence. Hidden.
Keep in mind that the smell is still really heavy in the air, and people are not going to want to stay. There doesn't seem to be an exit from this place.
Let's move on.
You leaving that one there, Finn?
Yeah. It just seems like bad energy to take them from here.
You all head back north and out of the stinking, toxic gas that was present in this space. As you head back north, you get to another fork, and you're going to have to choose whether you go left or right. You see there are clear-cut pathways that go, one goes left and one goes right.
Can we do any sort of tracking or anything of those that might have been here before? Are there any footprints?
No, it's been hundreds of years since anyone's been here.
But perhaps marking in some form where we have been and the directions that we're going, so at least maybe we could try to find our way back out. Might not be such a bad idea.
Yeah, I guess the differences between the two spaces, just giving each one a brief look. The one to your left looks like the ceiling has caved in. And so getting around and through it or to inspect what's in it might be pretty tricky. But you don't see any footprints. I mean, it's stone, so it's not like dirt in here.
I might be able to get through there. Thoughts?
Let's go the other way.
Fair enough. I don't relish the idea of getting stuck in a stony tomb.
You walk to the right. When you walk to the right, you see something fairly impressive as the torches illuminate one of the walls here, and you see a massively large-breasted green woman who is having relations with a very long blue dragon.
Do I recognize this? The symbology. I'm looking for the runes on her body.
You can certainly interpret it. You don't see a ton of runes on her body. You see that she's green. She's very large breasts. She's actually, she seems to be leaking milk all over the place. And that makes up some sort of bed of a lake that they're copulating in.
Well, that would make sense.
The blue dragon is marked with Orlanth's rune.
An interesting interpretation of the classic tale.
This space continues north until it hooks back west. And then after a few meters, you see that there is a pathway which opens to the right.
Definitely head down right.
It's a long hall, about 20 meters or so. As you move forward, you see that there's a large piece of smooth stone which seems to block your path. Maybe it's obsidian? Maybe it's black glass? You see the wall, as you get closer to it, ripples like water. It begins to suck in the light from your torches, like they dim in its space.
I don't know if this is a good way.
Where the end meets the beginning, you hear Shah say in your ear. Where Ouroboros swallows its tail. Neither light nor darkness, law nor chaos, knower or known. Here the path of right action waits.
I guess we have to go forward.
That makes sense. It's the last place in the world I want to go. So it makes sense that this is the first place in the world that we have to go.
Yep.
So what are you doing, Varghast?
I'm stepping forward.
Okay. You step forward and you walk through something that feels like thick air. You are assaulted by visions, by strange faces from the past. You see a sword in your hand, and you see ahead of you there is an unarmed lunar soldier. What would Vargas do?
Well, he does hate lunars. On the other hand, he's unarmed.
So do nothing?
I call on him to surrender.
You pass through the space. You feel the air flow over you. So I wonder who goes through next. Because Vargas disappears.
I do. I will step right in. I will say a small prayer before I go through the veil / ripple or whatever this might be. And, I step on through.
When you step into this space, you feel that same sort of, like you're walking into a place that is so much more humid than you were expecting. And the light from the torch nearby dims, and you see, not far from you, your mother being attacked by bandits.
Oh, I rush forward towards her.
In hopes of stopping them from attacking her?
Yes.
Okay, we'll leave you there. You're fighting off bandits. Who's next?
I'll look at Finn, look forward, and step through.
For you, Lysana, you see your mother helping someone give birth. You see her assisting as best she can to make certain that the birth is a painless one. And you see that the woman she is helping in this hour of her greatest need is clearly a devotee of the seven mothers. The amount of lunar runes on her body is clear. You watch your mother giving everything she can to make sure that this lunarized Sartarite, most likely, has a successful birth. You see her turn to you and say, "Come and help me. We must make sure the baby is born."
I will probably grit my teeth a bit and step forward towards her.
Okay. You begin helping your mother. All of your friends are gone, Finn.
Well, far be it from me for them to explore or have some sort of experience that I don't at least share. So he takes a deep breath, and as he lets it out, he steps forward into the portal.
You step forward. When you go into this space, you come face to face with Kaldan Blue Eye.
Hello?
Is it? Or is it goodbye? It's hard to say in here.
You
know what the whole trick about this is?
I hope you're going to tell me not to take it too seriously. But that's probably not what you're going to say.
The thing about the Dragon Way is that you have to let go of the things you're passionate about. All their people believe in the void. They believe in finding transcendence through finding nothingness. It sounds terribly fucking boring.
Oof.
You don't want to go in that room anyway. He pulls out like a deck of cards. Go on, sit down and wait. Vargas will figure it out. He starts dealing cards.
He looks at the chair. I don't think so. Not this time.
You see him look up at you and sort of squint and then let rip like an enormous fart.
Oh God, you're not really encouraging me to stay. He laughs.
The air, putrid as it is, leaves you, as does your body, and you walk forward into a space where Vargas is standing in front of you.
There you are.
Okay, gentlemen. And I use that term loosely. What is your highest passion, Vargas?
Loyalty to the Heraborn.
Okay, you're going to lose 3 points of it. And you, Finn, what's your highest passion?
Amusingly, they're all at 60. Pick one. Probably loyalty to the Starheart.
Interesting. Lose 6 points. So inside this room is a great round chamber. There are a row of columns along the wall. which support a domed ceiling. The columns have a mosaic map, which you're not really sure what that is. You've gotten a look at a couple of maps now. You're fairly certain that could be maybe a world map, but it looks really strange. You notice something really odd at first, Vargas, and that is the world map here that's on this dome has no red moon.
It predates the red moon.
It's possible. It seems to. The constellation of the dragon stands out brighter than any others, and its nose is Orlanth's ring. But the ring shows 11 stars rather than the actual 8. In the center of the room, on a very slender pedestal, stands a crystalline cylinder, the size of about a medium-sized decanter. Its ends are capped with gray metal that could possibly be iron. Inside this vessel swirl a sort of strange green-blue light. The radiance from this illuminates the room. You hear Shah in your ear, Vargast. There is a book on a pedestal there on the west wall. Take it.
Okay, I move to the west wall and find the book.
There it is.
And now I take
these
it.
back to her. You see actually that the book doesn't have paper pages or leathered pages. It actually has beaten bronze pages.
This is all she needs?
And this is it.
Okay.
You'll need to gather your companions from the doorway. It seems their passions keep them stuck.
Okay. Finn, we need to get the other two and then we can go.
All right, I'll get Alara.
When the two of you walk back in, like you see them sort of fraught in their own spaces. They seem to be almost pantomiming with the air. They're doing something. But when you touch them, the air releases them from whatever grasp it had. And the two of you come out of your visions.
Welcome back.
Oh, what?
We have what we need.
Where's my mother? She was getting attacked. Why did you pull me back?
It was dragon magic.
You think they could have shown us where this was without messing with our heads? You said we have what we need as my eyes go towards the book.
Yeah, I show her the book.
That looks like a pretty serious book. Everyone leaving the way they came. Okay.
Retracing our steps back out.
You do so. When you exit the temple, you see something strange. It's not as rainy as it was before. Things have dried. Time has passed. A camp has been set up. When you return, Kallyr stands up and walks over to the entrance. I thought you had died.
There's a lot more than meets the eye in there.
It has been 3 days.
It couldn't have been 3 days.
It is freeze day, death week.
How is that possible? We were only gone a mere, hour?
You found the breath of the dragon?
Yes, I hold out the book to her.
She takes it. You see Orlerant examine it. He seems to flip the bronzed pages. He looks a little confused. Is this all? Is this all you found?
Shah said that's what you needed.
This is not the breath of the dragon, Kallyr says. And then you all feel it. A hair stands up on your forearms, Finn. You feel it, especially Vargas, as do you, Lysana, because there is something comes out of Vargas. Like a spirit detaches itself from him. That ripple in the breeze, it almost sounds like the tinkling of bells. Shah manifests, coiling and uncoiling in the air.
It is to see you again.
Orlerant looks almost laughably surprised. The whiter, he says, pointing at the spirit. The dragon spirit that bound itself to them. This is what we were seeking all along. This is the dragon's soul piece. Kallyr authoritatively steps forward. And before she can open her mouth, you hear Shah speak.
Daughter of princes, I come and go as I please. I am not your chattel or prize. I will remain with these humans, and from their lives and experience, I will decide which side of your petty contest I will support.
She looks stunned. Shah hovers a bit over the bronze book.
From these pages, you will learn the location of the other stolen pieces of my spirit. You will gather them, and when this is done, I will come to you and give you my decision.
And without a retort, Shah fades from sight.
Do we feel him basically return to Varghest?
I mean, Varghest doesn't really even feel him return to where he was. He just seems to fade a little.
And I look at Starbrow with a look of, well.
She grabs some of her stuff and says, "Back to the hill." And they head back towards the hall. There's a fair, icy, obscuring rain along the way. It's difficult to tell the path. Hours pass, and a voice from beyond the path eventually speaks. Kallyr of Caledon, called the Starbrow. The voice comes out of the snow. You have heard this voice before, Varghest, the Red Woman. We had known, of course, that these mountains were a hotbed of terrorist activity, but imagine our surprise on learning the famous exiled queen was one of them. I scarcely believed it. Reports had you in Whitewall. You see Kallyr sort of get into a fighting stance. Hasn't taken her weapon out yet. She says, I will be in Whitewall by week's end, defending it against you. And yet the snow replies, that strikes me as optimistic. I cannot imagine you would put the innocent people of this valley at risk. Not so soon after misleading so many of your people to their deaths. Surrender yourself and there will be no bloodshed. And you feel it before it happens, Alara. You feel the surge of energy come out of Starbrow. There will ever be bloodshed until my people are free. And without a moment change, there is an iron sword in her hand. And you hear the word archers be screamed out. And that's where I'm going to call this episode to a close. And so thank you for joining us for this episode of 6 Seasons in Sartar. I'm certain we won't have any problems or troubles. Everything will be nice and rosy and shiny, just as Varghest promised it would be next game session. So if you're enjoying our walk through 6 seasons, let us know in the comments and hit us up on social media and tell us what you think about the show. Thank you and good night.